What's a simple and cheap meal a college student could practice making to get ready for college? Rice dishes. It's cheap and there's plenty of dishes to cook. It's pretty easy to cook rice by itself. Fried rice is my favorite to make, and all you really need is rice, eggs, oil, and soy sauce, and you just add whatever protein and veggies you have available. Is that how you make it? Neat. Key is leftover rice, not fresh made rice. I always just use fresh rice because it's one of the only thing I cook with rice, although leftover rice is better. Pasta is a great place to start. Super cheap and you can add any protein if you want, like chicken, beef, or even fish and shellfish. Sauces are pretty cheap too, and there are a lot of easy recipes online if you wanna make your own sauce. I do love pasta. Spaghetti bolognese is a good one. You can cheat with a jar of sauce, but I prefer to make from scratch. 500 g beef mince, 2 onions, can of chopped tomatoes, extra veg if you want. I'd normally add some fresh tomatoes, mushrooms and peppers. Some people grate carrot into it too. Seasoning, and some grated cheese to serve. 4 portions for not much money. It's best cooked slowly to let all the tastes mingle. Probably not authentically Italian, but cheap and tasty. LPT, there's no bologna in bolognese. Potatoes. Boil them. Mash them. Stick them in a stew. Seriously though, they are a cheap lifesaver that you can prepare a billion different ways. Potatoes. Good advice, Sam. Gotta share the load. Omelets. Eggs in general. So much variety in cooking them. Not to mention they're cheap, especially for a protein. A well-cooked egg is ducking delicious, and they last forever and a half. Fried rice. Lots of possibilities with it as well. I liked putting curry powder in mine when I was in college. Curried rice. Yum. Oatmeal with peanut butter. Scoop of instant oats. Add hot water. Put in a spoonful of peanut butter. Costs? Probably 20 or 30 cents. Something like that. I was using this when I was on a diet. You kinda get sick of it soon, haha. So I spiced it up with some bananas. Yeah. I like to add a dash of cinnamon. I like where your head is. Preferably at the upper end of the neck. Stir fry. You can make thousands of combinations with few ingredients, and you can have it with sides for days. Adding to this, it can also be worth looking at the cost of buying a big 10kg bag of rice instead of constantly going through those tiny 1kg bags they sell in the supermarkets. I just grab a 10kg bag of jasmine rice every 6 months or so and work through that with stir fries. Ends up costing 1/10 of what it would normally cost, and as long as you store the rice properly, it won't go off. Lol, I do that too. Pasta is super cheap. You can learn how to make your own sauce pretty easily, rather than suffering through the shit in a can that college students would buy. Eggs are cheap. Practice cooking them to your liking, but prepare for lots of scrambled eggs until you get it. You can get quite a few meals getting lunch meat, sliced cheese, and a loaf of bread for probably $10 total. Potatoes are cheap, versatile, and filling. Good with all kinds of things. Salt and pepper are your friends. Those two alone will get a vast percentage of your seasoning needs meat. If you have market with bulk spices, I highly recommend getting grinders and using coarse salt and peppercorns that you grind directly into your food. If you have Trader Joe's, I accidentally learned that the plastic grinders they still with stuff like rainbow peppercorns unscrew at the top and can be refilled. They work really well. Learn to cut an onion. That'll be important. Looking at your other comments, it sounds like you're truly a beginner. My advice is to read recipes. Watch Gordon Ramsay's cooking tutorial on Amazon Prime. Then get practicing. Be creative. And don't be afraid to screw up. That's all part of the process. Just buy a slow cooker. Salt, pepper, cumin, cayenne, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, and paprika. Now you can make soups and stews by adding whatever meat, veggies, and grain you want, covering with water or broth, and seasoning to taste. Look, thanks for the idea. It's great, but you threw out some scary money things. Not really. You can get a slow cooker for cheap. And none of those spices are very expensive. Plus they'll last ages. You'll have to look into it then. Some stew would be awesome. I'd make one addendum to what you/part_time_owner said. Which is that, if you're just starting in cooking, it can be a little expensive upfront. Because most recipes use at least some seasoning and spices. Getting several seasonings upfront can be more expensive than what you'd probably budget for an average shopping trip. But unless you go crazy with them, they're long lasting. If you can manage it financially, it's worth it to spend more upfront on things like the seasonings and basic equipment. A few pots and pans, a mixing bowl, and a food processor is a good start. It will make your life a lot easier down the road. And those aren't things that need to be regularly replaced. As a case in point, I've made spicy sesame peanut noodles 3 to 5 times a week for almost 6 months. I'm still using the original chili powder and cayenne pepper seasoning bottles I started with, and they're not even half finished yet. French onion soup. It's literally just butter, onions, salt, and beef broth. Meatloaf is also this simple. Just mash a bunch of random crap in with 2 eggs and a pound of hamburger beef. I use onion soup mix, ketchup, mild hot sauce, and crackers. You can also put a fair bit of vegetables in there. Add shredded/finely chopped carrots, celery, bell peppers, zucchini, mushrooms, etc. for extra nutrients. I usually do about 1/3 veggies to 2/3 meat. Learn to roast a chicken. One single dish. And it will impress the hell out of any date you want to cook for. And it gives you leftovers for a week of meals that can be made into soups or sandwiches or anything. True, even buying a rotisserie chicken from a supermarket is awesome because you can pick off of it for a few days in a ton of different meals. Macaroni and cheese. I can proudly say I do make some bomb mac and cheese. Glad to hear, but there is always a better macaroni cheese to master. Of course, Binging with Babish has an excellent video on this. If you already like cooking, Luna pick up limes on YouTube. Her meals are vegan, but you can add meat and milk products where you prefer easily. Step 1 boil water. Step 2 tear open ramen bags. Step 3 put said ramen in boiling water. Step 4 prod noodles to check consistency with your bare fingers because you're a broke ass college student that can't afford utensils. Step 5 pour salty savory goodness in some Tupperware because you can't afford a bowl. Step 6 bone apple tea. Steal some utensils from the food courts.
What we do here is
get a cast iron skillet at a thrift store. Then Google how to clean it, season it, and care for it. I've had mine since the 90s. Nice because they can go stove at top, oven, and broiler. Just remember that the handle is super hot, so always use a towel to pick it up. Great for making anything seared or roasted. I do a lot of roasted vegetables. If you're carnivorous, great way to make hamburgers. Edit. Sorry, that wasn't much of a recipe, was it? Fast iron pizzas are great. So are cast iron cookies. Cornbread. Basically I like baking in mine. I'm not much of a baker, but cast iron cornbread is definitely greatness. Oh man. It's a great go-to for baking when you want to change up a familiar recipe. Just crisps the edges that much nicer. I will say, pizza in it, especially deep dish. Ice really easy and def worth it. IDK just eat roasted peanuts bro. A pound bag of lightly salted almonds is a good binge snack. I rather eat salted cashews though. Chicken soup. You boil a whole chicken. Shred the meat. Add noodles, rice, and some veggies. OMN, reminded me of my mum's chicken noodle soup. Smoothie. It's a perfect to-go breakfast. Add some milk and some frozen fruit, bananas, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and blend. You need a blender, obviously. I love smoothies. Me too mate, me too. All Leo. Stir fry. Rice can be made in many ways. Homemade marinara sauce is cheap and easy to make for pasta dishes. Chili. It's cheap to make, and it will last a few meals. The secret is to undercook the onion so that everyone gets to know each other in the pot. r/budget food. Spaghetti carbonara. It's cheap spaghetti. Palm straight from the cylinder. eggs, and perhaps bacon. It's fast, 15 minutes maximum if you're taking your sweet time. It's delicious. Looking for something with less calories? Omelets. Make them with majority egg whites for lean protein. Throw in some veggies, onions, mushrooms, peppers. Anything and all reasonably cheap. Add meat/cheese you have in the fridge already. Don't sacrifice nutritional value for cost effectiveness. You'll end up feeling more tired, more stressed, have poorer physical strength if you just eat cheap stuff all the time. Try and cook smart. When I was living on a budget, I'd cook a base that worked across multiple meals. A mince-based bolognese sauces pasta, lasagna, nachos, tacos, and mince on toast. 5 different meals from 2 pounds of mince, an onion, carrot, tomatoes and some herbs. Same with a cheap cut of meat, like topside, that you can roast. It can be sliced for a sandwich, sliced with some stir-fried veggies and rice, eaten with roast veggies, cubed up and put in with a tomato salsa for a pasta. Reusing your nutrient-packed bases will be far healthier than how can I eat a 20-pound bag of spuds. Beefaroni ground beef, pasta, tomato sauce, inexpensive, easy to make, and delicious. Chili. Chili is always good. Like the one from The Office. Neat. Curry. You can buy cans of different curry pastes at your local Asian food store for like $2. Another $10 in veggies and or meats, and you have food for the week. Also dried beans are essential. Cook and put over cornbread, rice, or in tortillas. Spruce up your ramen with peanut butter, sriracha, lime juice, and whisk an egg into it. You can also cook it, strain it, then throw it in a pan to fry the noodles before cracking an egg into it and mixing like crazy. Those were my most successful ones. There are a million ways you can mix it up. Oh, and while you can get away with going simple on most things for your cooking, building up a good spice rack goes a long way. It'll pay off by elevating cheaper ingredients that might be more boring, and you can experiment with making spice blends on your own, which will help you become even better at cooking along the way. Peanut butter. Fritto pie with Wolf brand chili. Hank Hill. I'm an incoming freshman, so maybe I don't know anything, but spaghetti is super easy to make, given that you're okay with eating bottled sauce and boxed pasta. Sauce isn't that hard to do, and anyone who isn't okay with boxed pasta has a problem. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.